afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Welcome
Yeah,
to Reel in Films, and we're going to be talking about the episode that you directed for the series and season three of Upload. How excited are you to for people to see your episode?
very, very excited. Very excited that the entire season has finally, hit the airwaves. Yeah, very excited for people to see this episode. A lot of work went into it. A lot of visual effects, great performances, and a lot of big moments in the series. I feel like happen in this episode, especially when it comes to Nathan and his and backup Nathan meeting for the first time face to face. So I think people can be really happy. A lot of I don't know, a lot of cool stuff happens in this episode. I was very, very excited to get the script for this one.
That's what I wanted to get into. So I noticed that there's a lot going on and there's a lot of like tie-ins happening in this episode. Like some stories are going to continue, some of them are about to, close out. And I would say that this like the pinnacle episode for to reach the finale. So how was it to, how was it to work with, having Nathan and then backup Nathan? How does that work while filming the episode?
Uh, That's a great question, because the I feel like the writers write it in a way that's very natural. The dialogue is flowing, and then as a director, we get the schedule to shoot this, and they'll be like, "Okay, we can allot this much time. It's just a walk and talk of two people, walking and talking." And it's like, no, it's not. It's the same person walking twice. The same person has to walk twice, and every camera angle is it's double the amount of setups because everything, it's a costume change. But when you watch it, I feel like you don't think about that. You just see two people, it's almost like it's two different people. And I would joke around and say, actually, in all seriousness, the two Nathans have this great chemistry with one another. I really felt like they really played off each other, and that's really a tribute to Robbie Amell. And he's such a pro, and the fact that he can interact with himself, when no one's there, and then play it both ways, but also give a different performance for Nathan and backup Nathan. But a very, very challenging episode, and yeah, I mean, it just takes time. You just need time to do it right.
So I wanted to ask, so David, so you record the actor first as one Nathan, and then you record him again as backup Nathan. There's no like green screen suit nor anything. It's the same actor and doing the
It's
same.
the same actor. Yeah, it's the same actor. And so I mean, if you want to get technical, for example, there's a couple different ways to shoot stuff. So one typical way is a locked off shot where you shoot it once and you have one actor, and you run it, and let's say he's walking. We did it on treadmills. Actually, we did one scene on treadmills because and I'll explain why. Because you can do some stuff with motion control where you can follow an actor and the camera does the same path, and it's a machine, so it can match its own motion, and then it can do it again. It can repeat its same motion. No camera operator can they can't do it. They can't do the same exact thing twice, but a machine can. So in a lot of scenes where you have
Mhm.
like big visual effects or something, you want to swoop the camera around, which we did, you use a motion control camera. But if you have scene after scene like I did of two people walking, it takes forever. It takes forever to program. It just takes a long time. So I came up with an idea, and I said, hey, what if we put these guys in a green screen room with treadmills, and that way we can shoot one guy walking, and then he can do a costume change and do the other. And then if we want to move the camera, same thing. You do one, he does his, in his costume, and then the second time in his other costume. So that way you could, save a lot of time. But really, I mean, that's what you're doing is you're it's like a split screen, and you're shooting them twice. But he was so good at acting with himself. Like, someone would run the lines, let's say the first time. So if he's playing Nathan, someone would run the lines as Nathan backup. Then we scrub those out, he goes to the other side and we can play back his what we think is his best performance. Then he's acting with himself, his own voice. But like he's looking and he's got to, it's like anything and nowadays with CGI, whether it's a dinosaur or some other monster, people they're reacting and they have to act, they're pretending, and that's what he had to do. He has to pretend that he's there.
Okay, that's amazing. I was mesmerized with that. So I was actually in my mind, I was like, is this a suit or is this the same actor? Because it was so flawless and so great. So, David, how was it? Were you part of like the editing? Because there is a scene that when they are like in the gray area, they Nathan mentions that, oh, this is very different than it was before, and it is quite different. So were you part of like how the design was of like the gray area when we see it completely on the episode?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we wanted to do in this season was build up the gray zone a little bit more than we have in the previous episodes. And the thought was, oh, it's getting more, in a sense, gentrified and built up. People are buying space and putting money into it. And Greg and Rachel, our production designers, oh, let's make a city. And then we worked with our VFX team, Eddie and Nicole, and we said, okay, what can we do? And so we came up with different looks of this kind of, tech city. Like we've seen the gray zone before, and even inside there was, I believe it was in, I think it was season 1 where they go into the gray zone and it's a market. It's like a gray
Mm-hmm.
market, and they're buying, Dylan buys something to become older, and there's just a lot of like, cheats and criminal activities going on. And so we kind of followed that theme. It's like, okay, let's make a city now that has stuff, and what can we do? So that was what was involved to make this city. And we kind of always refined the look as we would go. We would see it and be like, okay, what do we want at the end of the street here? What kind of buildings? What do the lights look like? And we knew obviously that we had one particular store that these guys would go to and look through the window.
Okay, that's amazing. So I want to ask, do you have a fun memory while you were filming this episode? Do you have a funny moment or a memory while you were filming?
God, yeah. I mean, there were a bunch of funny moments. It's hard. I mean, it's a fun show to shoot. It's a great cast. It's a fun show to shoot, but it's work too. It's like you're working and you're focusing and there's a lot of prep involved and just a lot of, we really want to make a great show. Nothing is half-assed, so to speak, on this show. We really put a lot of effort in. I'm trying to think. One of the funnest moments was we were shooting. All right, here's one. We were shooting Andy Allo running as Nora, and there's a scene where I'm just going to say she's running, she's being chased. I don't want to give too many details or anything like that, but we rehearsed it. We did our first run through, and then the first take out of the gate, okay, go. Where she runs, she turns this corner and she smacks right into the cameraman. It was like, oh. So everybody was caught off guard. She was like, I mean, and it was funny, just like, because you rehearse and you practice, but then when you get the gear in there, people aren't exactly where they're supposed to be. You come a little wide, you could, so I mean, that was something. God, let me think, any other funny moments. We shot a lot of stuff with Owen Daniels on the street, so that was pretty fun to shoot. And these different things. There's a scene where he gets a little close to a he gets a little close to
A
an
charging
electric
port.
car charging pole, and that was pretty fun to shoot. And he kept cracking up as he was doing it. I'll just say that. But I feel like everybody, has moments. There's also, listen, when we're just when an actor shows up on set in a funny costume, let's say that's a little more revealing, even the men, that's a little more revealing, let's say in the rear area and stuff. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
There's a lot.
And
There's a lot. I mean, There's so many moments. It was really, really enjoyable to shoot. We had a great time up there. The weather was beautiful where we shot, and and you need that, especially for Lakeview. You need, just beautiful weather. It's just this, idyllic place.
okay. So David, wanted to ask what caught your attention to come back to direct another episode of Upload?
Honestly, I mean, I love directing. I didn't go up for season 2 just because of COVID. To be honest with you, there was a lot, lot going on back home, a lot going up there. Being an editor and a producer on the show, also, it's hard to suddenly, be quarantined for 2 weeks in a hotel room. I was like, it just became more complicated. I said, let me stay home. Also, we were editing for the first time remotely, so that was new. And I oversee the other editors, and I just said, look, I mean, obviously I love directing. It makes more sense for the show for me to stay put, kind of make sure post is running smoothly. That was it. But as soon as everybody had like the real, I mean, by the time we were shooting season 3, the COVID protocols were in place. We always wore masks while shooting, even rehearsing, even going out on scouts. Everybody wore masks. Once we had that, I felt good, and also I could get up there and prep. I wasn't stuck in a hotel. You didn't have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Once you got up there, they would just test you every day, and you were good to go.
Okay. And so this would be my final question. So
Hmm.
David, in one word, how would you describe this episode?
That's a good question too. One word. Um, do you have a word? I'm curious if you have any word to
So
describe it.
at
You're
least for
yeah,
me, it
yeah.
was, I would say it's surprising.
Oh, okay.
So many things go on in scene by scene, and then things pop out like for the upcoming next episode, and it's like, wow, it's very surprising, I think, for myself and for the viewers as well.
I think that's a great answer. I would say big. If you ask me, one word, I would say big. This was a big episode with big production values, big things happen. That's my one word answer for episode 305 rescue mission.
Thank you. So, David, I just got to say thank you very much for giving us your time to talk about your episode here at Upload. And hope everybody that's watching this go ahead and see Upload on Amazon. So go ahead and check it out. Thank you very much, David.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.
Same here. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye bye.